As the weather turns cold in Boston, we head out west for the opening of Del Mar. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Doubling Down with Colin Sheehan, where we try to take a stab at a couple daily doubles on the weekend. I'm very happy to be joined by my West Coast pal, Fink. What's up, happening? How are you?
How you doing, Colin? I'm great, man. The weather, like you said, cleared up. It was cold and rainy for a couple days, and fortunately for us, it's nice and clear, and it's probably going to be a great racing weekend.
Yeah, it's wild. It was warm here in Boston, and now we're starting to, you can feel that crisp, cold weather, as they say. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Thank you so much for all the support during Breeders' Cup, but we don't stop. Don't stop. Keep moving. And I decided to add a little new nuance to this week's show, and I wanted to ask you, the viewers, on the doubling down question of the day. Do you prefer exacta or daily double bets? Give me your answers in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. You don't have no idea how important that is for our shows. Finky, which do you prefer, the exacta or the daily double?
I actually prefer an exacta bet. I like to get it done and over with, and not sit there and sweat while they're getting the next post parade ready to go.
It saves you money though. If you're, if you're alive going into the second leg of the double, then you don't have to bet it.
Exactly, and that's the reason that I still enjoy them, and I'm sitting here with you today.
Very nice. We'll bring up the standings of doubling down. This is my ongoing tally, which I started this show in August, and we're still in the green, up to $43. Vinny had really sunken that ship on the bottom there, gotten it into $25, $30 in the red. And Keith and El Hombre were able to come in as special guests and hit two daily doubles back to back, including me and El Hombre having the live show one a couple weeks ago. So you have the opportunity to get that guest score into the green. No pressure, no pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. I'm ready for it. Let's do this. Let's go.
All right, here we go. So we are going to Del Mar for Saturday, November 12th. We're starting off with race number 7. This is the Catherine Crosby Stakes for fillies and mares, 3-year-old and up, going 1 mile on the turf. It is a field of 8, including the number 8, Gold for Kitten, who's returning after 8 months for John Sadler and Hall of Fame jockey Johnny Velasquez. Where did you decide to go in this race?
One thing I told you before we started here is that we have a ranking system that we use at Turtle Sports, and well, not a lot of that information's out, so we'll have more data tomorrow when it comes to some of these past performances. So I did this old school. I took some lessons from your doubling down videos you've been doing, and I really appreciate all the help with those and some of the things that we're doing. But my first spot that I had to go to was the 5 there. Always love Flavian Pratt when riding on the turf. And Philip D'Amato's a very prominent trainer here on the West Coast, has a lot of success at these tracks. So it was the first thing that I looked at. But also I took a look at just some of the races that they had, looked at some of the class ratings, things like that. And that was the first part of my ticket here when going into this one.
Yeah, and I agreed as well. This was the last horse on my ticket, number 5, Virgo Alley. It's a Grade 3 winner. Has been racing against Grade 2 and Grade 3 company. Even took a shot in the American Oaks, which is Grade 1 company. And what I saw here that I liked about this 5 is really it's the biggest drop that any of the horses are taking. This is a stakes race, and none of the other horses have been racing against Grade 2 and Grade 3 company. However, on top for me was the number 3, Sugar Fix. And when I went through this race and started looking, the first thing I kind of look at a mile on the turf is to see what horses have had success at the distance and on the turf. This horse has raced at this distance 14 times with 8 wins and has ridden on the turf 25 times with 11 wins. It's also second off the claim for the trainer, who doesn't do too bad at that angle. The one thing that scares me that I learned from Matthew DeSantis on the Trusted Profits YouTube page, is horses returning from Kentucky Downs. He had a stat for horses that showed up in the Breeders' Cup running back from Kentucky Downs. I think they were 0 for 36. And then he went back and looked and said, well, maybe they had a second race, and horses that had raced at Kentucky Downs 2 times back, they were like 0 for 57 or something like that. So
That held true. It actually held true through this Breeders' Cup as well. I actually used that angle because I listened to it on Friday morning, and I actually started going back through and taking. I took a couple horses out because of it.
So we'll see if he's got this in my head now, and I'm thinking about it.
Yep.
But I'm going to take a shot because the speed figures on this horse. I used Brisnet. The last two were 92. That puts this horse definitely in the company. So I used the 3. You did not. Is that why? Was the Kentucky Downs angle the reason you dropped him?
It was not. It was more of a just trying to keep the ticket a little bit shorter. When I build these, I prefer to have a little bit less on the front end and a little bit more on the back end when I build a double, just because I would rather sweat out the first race, and if I don't hit it, then there's other opportunities to keep going. But if you hit the first, you can kind of, like you said at the beginning, sit back and enjoy that next race and not really have to worry about it, and just keep going.
So the other horse that I see that we both agreed on was the 7, Warren's Candy Girl. What'd you like about the 7?
It was kind of what you were saying about the 5 there. Some success at the distance. I mean, won 3 races at distance, has 9 total hit the board 9 times out of 13 races was the beginning, and then also just lifetime earnings on turf was really good as well. And so that's kind of where I went. And then just some stuff that I've learned from the guys that are around the tracks on the West Coast, even the smaller tracks, is that Umberto Rispoli is very respected on turf out here on the West Coast. So whenever I see him riding a horse on turf, I give it a little bit extra look there. So that had a little bit of prowess too. And when you look at him paired with Craig Anthony Lewis, they have a good ROI. Well, it's only in 3 races. They have a good ROI on those.
Yeah, and I love to see the improvement from 3 years old to 4-year-old. I always draw a line between the 3-year-old season and the 4-year-old season, then look at the speed figures. And generally, I want to kind of see those numbers going up. And I use Brisnet, as I always say. And in the last 3 races, this horse, this 4-year-old, has put up 92, 90, 91. A little bit of improvement off the second off the layoff here is definitely going to be enough to put this horse for an opportunity to win. The other horse that I looked at that I decided to leave off was number 4 by Partisanship, who's been racing against. If you looked at the company this horse has had 2 back and 3 back, and you paid attention to Breeders' Cup, you'd see an Italian, Rico Glory, a couple races, even raced last year against Plum Ali. The company was definitely there. It's second off the layoff for Grand Motion. Only 2 wins. They both were at longer. And this horse, I think, needs a lot of early speed in order to close into. And I just didn't see that speed in this race setting up for the 4 with Juan Hernandez aboard. So I decided to leave the 4 off, as did you.
Yeah, I went with that one. I actually use the Equibase figures when I look at a lot of stuff, and that's how we, like I said, we get our numbers, and you can see some diminishing speed there. And if we're talking, needing early speed, it's if he's not going to get out there, then it's not. If Juan Hernandez is not going to put his horse out in the front, it's going to be tough for him to win.
So I go 3, 5, 7. Finke goes 5 and 7. So we could both get through the first leg, which is something I always like. And we don't. We just kind of jump on the show and put our tickets up, and then we kind of see as we're going through it that we're on the same horses. So I love it when we both can win. On to race 8 is 6.5 furlongs optional claimer, 3-year-old and up fillies and mares. This race, either I was confused, the horses are confused, or the trainers are confused, because you got horses that are running on the turf, switching to dirt. They're on the dirt and they've gone to turf, and now they're coming back to the dirt. And I was getting so confused with who wants to be where. I decided that my guidelines for this race were going to be that I wanted early speed on older horses that have gone the distance. And something that I read in the Complete Handicapper's book regarding claimers in the fall is that the 3-year-old claimers are generally slower than 4-year-old claimers and older horses. So I kind of immediately took that into consideration. And that was what landed me on where I landed. And I landed on 9, Tiger Spice on top. And I will tell you something. One of my buddies who I used to play with always joked about me with horses by Smiling Tiger in California. And I've been beaten by so many Smiling Tigers in Californias, and I've also won on so many Smiling Tigers in Californias, that immediately jumped out to me as a horse that I was like, I'm going through seeing who's by who, and I saw that, and I said, okay, This horse is interesting, right? This horse is also 2 for 2. Not only 2 for 2 lifetime, but 2 for 2 at Del Mar. Also has shown early speed and also has run this 6.5 furlong distance. So right off the top, I was like, oh, look, I found my winner. Has put up 2 bullet workouts. Those were at Santa Anita. And I almost was considering singling this 9 until I continued to look on and added a few more. So Tiger Spice for me is the horse that I have on top in the second leg. And I see Tiger Spice on your ticket as well.
You took the words right out of my mouth. A lot of it had to do with 2 for 2 at Del Mar and 2 for 2 on dirt. Actually, like you said, a lot of these horses, it was interesting. You know, you didn't really know where they were going, what they were doing. I thought that was a good analogy there. I did find it interesting that didn't race as a 3-year-old. And you know, obviously, that could be a number of things when it comes into consideration by the trainer and the owner, making sure that horse is ready. Maybe you know something happened, but the bull. You know, you and I have talked offline about bullet works and what those look like, and that was the first thing that caught my eye as well. That would actually have been my if I was going to single. You nailed it. I would have taken Tiger Spice as well.
Yeah, and I should add that we're taping this on Wednesday before Morning Line has come out, so that could obviously change that too. So if you're interested in a single in this race, it seems like we both agree on the 9. Who else did you have?
My other one was the 3, for a lot of the same reasons. There has actually run at Del Mar before. It's a big thing for me. I've been burned by so many horses that have never run at a particular track. When last time you and I were on together, we talked about Big Sandy and how much horses need to have run there to be able to get going, and that was a big thing for me. The only thing that I didn't like, only run once at distance and didn't hit the board. A lot of bad trips as well. But just just looking at the numbers, and Kyle Frey got on the horse for the last 2 mounts and is going to be on this one as well. So I think he's got some familiarity and can have some success there for this race.
You decided to add the one big summer here. I did not, and the reason I did not was the exact reason when I opened up this segment was why is this horse running on the dirt? 8 for 8 in the money. 7 races on the turf, 2 wins, 4 seconds, and a third. And then there's that race on the dirt at Del Mar last November. Finished third, and it was the lowest speed figure that I see on the books for this horse. Does have 2 bullets, so that I'm going to lead to think that that's why you included this ticket. 1 for 23 and 1 out of 27 in the last 2 workouts. But I wrote down why is this horse moving to the dirt. And that's why I ultimately decided to take a stand against. Plus, you reminded me that these tickets are $2 doubles. Usually we're used to the $1 double, so we're getting expensive here for doubling down. We like to stay in the $4 to $10 range, but when we go out west, we got to drop a couple extra bucks. So you have included Big Summer.
And that's exactly what it was. It was the change in trainer. This is the third time out from the change, and then also the 2 bullet works really caught my eye. It's just the jockey Joe Bravo. It's like you talked about, smiling tiger horses at Burge. I swear Joe Bravo on the West Coast just burns me more than ever. If I don't put his horse in there, I will just and the way that they announce him at Santa Anita and Del Mar for the most part, it's just like Joe Bravo, and it's almost out of a comic book. And I'm like, I swear if this horse beats me, I'm not going to be very happy. But your concerns about it are right. I did add it in. It wasn't obviously my top horse like we talked about. It would actually be, of the 4 that I put on, there would be the one that I would leave off if I was making a suggestion to someone to cut a couple bucks out of this.
All right, and then we both agreed on 11, who in the Brisnet Prime Power is 10th. So I assume this morning line might be a little bit higher. Last 2 races were on the turf. Why'd you like number 11, 27 Trouts?
It has to do again with the jockey Juan Hernandez. I'm a big fan of his. He's been huge here on the West Coast. I actually watched him ride at Sacramento when there was not a lot of horses running. He had just come out of really being an apprentice. Kind of took a liking to him. He hit a couple nice races off of him. But it's another horse that has won at this distance, which I thought was huge. Not a lot of races for this horse as a 5-year-old. It's kind of interesting to see that Lifetime only ran 4 races, but hit the board in 2 of them, and one of them just happened to win at this distance. So that was the big key for me, is winning at the distance and having run at Del Mar previously on one race.
Yep, and this horse also checks that third box for me, which was showing some early speeds, both on the turf and on the dirt. This horse has been out to the front, so I'd rather have a horse that's going to be in front and let them try and catch me than the opposite in these claiming races in the fall. So nice to be back and see the sunshine of Del Mar this weekend. Thank you so much to my California pal for checking in and giving me some of that West Coast sunshine, and hopefully both of us hit this daily double that will get my guests into the green and hopefully me keep going. So I go 3-5-7 with the 3-9-11 for race 7 and 8 at Del Mar on Saturday, November 12th. Finke goes 5-7 with the 1-3-9-11. And you want to give a quick shout out to Turtle Sports?
Absolutely. You can find us at turtlesports.net anytime you want. All of our horse racing picks, all of our other sports that we do are also on there. And then you can find us on Twitter at _Turtle Sports. And if you're looking for me, I'm at TS Finke, which stands for Turtle Sports Finke. I don't have a cool handle, like some of those guys from that big one where they can put their full name and their company in it.
Very good. Thanks so much. Hit like and please subscribe.